Hi guys and welcome to Horologique, and today we are going to be doing the final thoughts about the Saint Martin, which is a homage of a very famous watch from a very famous manufacturer, and I'm sure you know which one I talk about. So I did the first impressions video a while back, even more than a month back, and you can go and check that video. I recommended that watch on the latest sale that just finished on the 27th, and I have been wearing this watch for the last week or so, and I know that a lot of people have been waiting for the 36mm version of this watch. But after wearing this watch for about a week straight on, I started to think, isn't the 39mm the perfect size all along? We're going to discuss about that. We're also going to discuss about the positives and the negatives, of course, and we're going to see if this watch can be a good buy for you. I know the timing is bad because the sale just ended, but maybe you can go ahead and see if you think the price is right. You can go ahead and buy this watch. If you think you should wait for the next sale, you can always wait for that. If you still believe that the 36mm is the perfect size for you, just go ahead and wait for that. But let's go and let's see the positives and the negatives about this little 39mm adventure watch. I'm gonna call it that, the Adventure Saint Martin. So first of all, I will urge you to go ahead and check that first video because I will not go through all that information. The aim of this video is just to give you the positives, negatives of this one, and to give you a conclusion about the watch. So if you want to know everything about dimensions and other specifics, go ahead and check that video first, please. We're going to talk about positives and negatives of this watch. And the first positive, and it may surprise you, is the size of this watch. I know that we are many, and I include myself in that group, to expect eagerly the 36mm. I have been pestering Saint Martin so much to let me know when it comes out. It will come out soon, in the next weeks. But after wearing this watch for about 1 week, as I told you in the intro, I am starting to believe that it's the perfect size. Why? It does not look too big, it does not look too small. Smaller would be, maybe it will not work with these. If they keep these box sapphire crystal, the dial will look smaller, so it might not work. I will see how that 36 works. We'll check that when it arrives, and I will be reviewing that, so stay tuned. But I'm under the impression that this watch will fit anyone with a wrist larger than 6.25 inch up to 8.5 inches. It'll just look good, which the 36 might not. So that is the first surprise. It was a surprise to myself. If you remember, if you look back at the first impressions video, that was maybe my biggest regret, to have a watch that was a bit too big, but it is not a bit too big. It is just perfect as it is. The second positive would be, of course, the build quality. And I know we YouTubers say a lot about Saint Martin, about the Saint Martin quality, etc., etc. But here they have taken things to a higher level. This looks amazing, guys. I look down at this watch from time to time and I'm like, wow, this watch looks really, really good. At least from my point of view. As I told you in that first impressions video, what a lot of people hated was those rough edges about the Saint Martins on the clasp, on the case. That is all gone. You've got all rounded edges, and this wears just wonderfully comfort-wise. You do not have those edges hurting you anymore, and that might be, for some, that might be the biggest deal. Because for many it was a deal breaker for Saint Martins. I know of people who filed the edges of their Saint Martins so they could wear them. Now you do not have to do that anymore. And I do hope, I really hope, that they keep doing that for all their coming models. Another positive point, and should I mention this again, would be the lume. If you check the lume on this one, it is of course wonderful, but the special part here is about those numerals. Those numerals, the lume on those numerals is as good as on the rest of the indices and as on the hands. And that is very, very good to know. That is wonderful to know. So that is a big, big plus here. And I especially love to see those numerals in the dark I always wanted one of these watches with very, very glowing numerals. I don't know, there was always something about that. And here we do have it. And of course, this is Superluminova BGW9 Old Radium. Third positive, of course, I made a big deal about these, is the fact that they have a female end link. That is very good and all, but that will lead me to the negatives. That might be a negative, not because of the fact that it's a female end link, but because of how Saint Martin have managed it here. If you look at the watch, it looks a bit angular here, instead of a bit rounded, as I would prefer that it should be. Another positive that becomes a negative somehow would be that crystal, so box dome sapphire crystal, is a wonderful idea, very expensive to execute, but the angle that they have taken makes it that when you look at the watch from some views, you can see a bit of a milky shade. This happens typically on the Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch, on the extremely famous Moonwatch. It has absolutely the same problem, this milky ring they call it. And that is why some people prefer the original acrylic version, because you do not have this milky ring. It might not be a problem to you. To some it might be. To me, I would prefer Saint Martin to put only a dome sapphire crystal. It might not be in touch with the original one, but at least it will erase this milky ring situation. But besides from that, frankly speaking, I really believe that the positives far outweigh the negatives. And I was tracking how this watch was selling with my links, and it did not sell too well compared to others. I believe that people are waiting for the 36, but as I told you, I do think we already have the perfect size with us. There might be a V2 of the 39, who knows? But I do believe that people are holding off for the 36mm. If you've got a 6.25, 6.5 inch wrist and more, I really do recommend this size. The size is wonderful, the construction is wonderful, it does have defects, as I have told you before, but you know what, after having this watch for 1 week, it has been hard for me to take it off. And the thing is that, even though it has some weight to it, it is 130 grams, I think, it kind of disappears on your wrist. It's not the fact that you don't feel it, but the fact that it integrates perfectly with your wrist. And it is the first time that I do notice this with a watch. I have worn a lot of watches, and it's the first time that I wear a watch that is so easy to wear and that just feels right on your wrist. I'm starting to understand why this watch from the original brand is so beloved and the do-all watch, and I believe that here they have captured that spirit, and that is wonderful, and I commend Saint Martin very much for doing that. That's been my review. Stay tuned, because as I told you, we will soon be having on the channel the 36th, the much awaited 36mm version, and of course I'm going to be comparing it with this one, to let you know which one you should buy in case you're interested in these watches. Thank you so much guys for having watched the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I would very much like for the channel to keep on growing so we can surpass that 5K subscribers before the end of the year. That would be extra nice, guys, so thank you so much. And with that said, I'll be seeing you very soon. Goodbye.